like, hey, do you want to come on tour with us in 2 weeks? Our guy just quit. I'd never met MGK. I'd never met Colson, Slim, the band. So I sat down. I'm like, bro, I'm just going to make you like a 1 minute highlight reel. And he watches it. He's like, this is a great start to a documentary. This is like an intro. And we totally just like went against the grain and like came out with an amazing documentary, in my opinion.
CinePacks,
What is up, and welcome to another exciting episode of the CinePacks podcast, where we dive into the world of filmmaking with industry experts. I'm your host, Tyler Casey, co-owner of CinePacks. I also have my other co-host and co-owner of CinePacks, Andy Chin, with me. Yep. And today we have a very special guest on. You may know him, Sam Cahill. Sam is a director and photographer who has made waves touring with MGK, directing his music videos, shooting photos of him on stage, and also he's worked with artists like Mod Sun, Jelly Roll, and many others. Also directed a Hulu, documentary?
Documentary, yes.
Yeah, of MGK, which was insane when you sent me that. I didn't even know you did that. That's crazy.
Yeah. That one was, that took a year and 2 months of my life to really do that in post, but it was essentially 4 or 5 years worth of footage that we just gathered on tour. And it started as something where I was kind of like just piecing it together. It was a bunch of like unchronological moments on tour that fit together in a story without a voiceover, without interviews really giving a direction on where it was going. And it was like an hour-long film at one point, and it had no interviews, really no story at all. But we started doing interviews like of his daughter with Colson. Who else did we interview in that documentary? It was so long ago. But
was this something that Hulu reached out to you to make, or is it you guys did it yourself and then it was just kind of like got it on Hulu?
Nah, it started on a tour bus. We were on the Tickets to My Downfall tour. Mm-hmm. We had a studio bus where there were 2 computer setups. So the computer setup in the back was suited for music, and they had drum kits and guitars back there, and they would make music back there. And then in the front, it was just all suited for video editing. So like the entirety of that tour, I was editing on this bus the whole time. And there was really a span of like 2 weeks where Kels wasn't posting anything. I was shooting, and I'm taking photos of shows every night, and I'm like, man, like, why don't you post this? And he's like, I don't know, like, so we just went through really like 2 weeks of, I was shooting everything, kind of archiving it. We weren't using it for anything, and I was just kind of losing my mind personally, and I'm like, I need to make something cool. So
was he just not in the mood to post, or was he had the documentary in mind, or he just wasn't posting?
I think it was just like he wasn't in the mood to post, and
yeah,
we just didn't have like a specific direction of where our content was going, aside from like just posting. The concerts are sweet every night, but like he was kind of like underestimating how cool it was, and like we live it every day, and it's so cool to see. But like you never know what's going on in someone else's mind, and like it's not normal stuff what he does. It's all like so cool. So I just you want the world to see it. But God, where did I leave off? Fucking.
So this is something you decided to do. You just like you have all this footage and like photos. You're just like, I'm just gonna do something with it.
Yeah. So like after the 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, I kind of just, I was losing my mind. I'm like, I need to make something dope. So I sat down. I'm like, bro, I'm just going to make you like a 1 minute highlight reel of like, I'm the shit kind of thing. Just like go over what happened in the last 2 weeks. Cause I got clips that just make this shit look like it's blown out of the water, And so I spent like 15 hours, I think, one day editing just like a 1 minute highlight reel that he was going to post on Instagram. And he watches it. He's like, this is a great start to a documentary. This is like an intro. And nice. I'm like, A, I'm like sick, but B, I'm like, damn. So he's like, just keep going with this. Keep going. I'm
just
like,
another 100 hours of editing.
Yeah, so I didn't really know what we had got ourselves into, but that was really what started the documentary process. And I just kept that same mindset and just turned that 1 minute piece into what became 60 minutes. And then to answer your question about if Hulu, if they were even a part of it, like they really, we made something and then pitched it. Mm-hmm. So we had, and I think all we pitched was 3 minutes of the documentary. It was the first 3 minutes, and it really kind of like gives you a lot of insight into what you're about to see. And it was so much stuff going on that was so cool, and just like you don't see it. And like he was such a he was such a volatile character, if that's the right word, or he was so polarizing, and like so many people were hating on the music at the time, and like so many people loved it at the same time.
Yeah, that's
so
what I
like,
kind of saw in the trailer. Like it was a combination of both. Like you had the little voiceovers of like people saying their opinions, probably like sound like a comment almost.
Yeah, and it was just so crazy to be with him through. I mean, all the love is great, but just seeing how many people can hate on an individual is
Crazy.
You know, really detrimental, and I could see it wearing on him, and it's like sad that people do that to others, but it also we got really cool footage of just like those emotional moments, and it worked out for the story, and just like really showing on camera, I guess, like what it was for his life and like what he was going through at the time. And it's crazy, you know.
I got two questions about the Hulu thing. So you showed him 3 minutes. First of all, I guess, was that original 1 minute like highlight thing, is that still the intro of this thing, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I changed it a little bit, like revisions and everything, but it was really that first minute plus 2 more minutes of kind of that same ideation of just like I used a lot of clips of fans talking about him and uplifting him, and like even using news clips and stuff that came out on radio and stuff that I'm like, can we even license this? But it sounds cool, and I'm just like throwing all these different kind of mixed mediums into the project, whether it be like clips of Jimmy Kimmel holding his album, and then he's from like, you know, a rough part of Cleveland, and it's like he's got such a crazy backstory that it just gave me all the power to use all this cool footage I had of him from all over the place, and all the cool big concerts that he was doing. Like it was just different, man.
And then when you were talking to Hulu, how much of the documentary was edited already, or is it just those 3 minutes?
It was about that hour-long piece.
Oh, the whole thing was
with
already
no
done?
interviews at all.
Oh, I see.
So, but they saw a lot of value in it, and they were like, yeah, like, so I basically went from editing the documentary in my bedroom, like post-tour, to them picking up the 3 minutes, and they're like, oh, we got some money for you, and we didn't know the amount, but they were like very interested in it. And then Interscope, the label, they kind of took over, and they put me up in a editing suite called Sugar Studios in K-Town out here in LA. But I was in there for the next year and 2 months, really just cutting, and we ended up doing all these interviews, and the story of everything took a spin like 3 times.
That's crazy.
Probably flipped that whole movie like 3 times.
And what part of that process, like how, because you've been touring with him for how long, like you probably have just like so much footage. Like what was that like, just like siphoning through all that footage? Because I can imagine just like tackling a project that big. I mean, at least if you've shot majority of it, at least you know what you have. But I mean, I'm sure you have like archives of just.
Thank God I have a good memory. Thank you, Mom. But fucking, it was that whole project was 98 terabytes of footage, if I can remember correctly. And once you get all that footage into, I had never done a project that was this long. So like my first timeline was a 2-hour timeline sequence, and my Premiere Pro would keep crashing and crashing and crashing. And I'm like, why? And it was literally too much footage was in your main timeline. So I had to basically break it up into reels. So it was like, I think that film was 6 reels, and each reel was about 25-30 minutes long. And that's like just a different sequence. And you would have a 2-pop at the beginning of your reel, and then your sequence starts, and then it ends at a point, and then you go to your other sequence tab, and you would be in your next timeline to edit. So
That's crazy. So where did this all start? Because I feel like we just jumped in, you know, like we jumped in straight to the documentary.
How did you even start touring with MGK, or even how did you even meet him, I guess?
I've been doing video and photography since early high school years. I grew up skateboarding, making skate videos with my friends.
Where are you from again?
I'm from Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
Or Everett, Washington, to be specific, but a lot of people haven't heard of Everett. But Everett, we got to put it on the map, man. So shout out Everett, Washington. But I was doing video stuff. I went to college at University of Colorado in the Denver campus. I didn't have many friends. I had like maybe 3 homies in college. And while I was there, I had a 4.0. You know, I was doing good in school, but I just really wanted to like make cool shit. And it wasn't happening for me. So I applied to all these internships and got like 6 internships at a church, multiple churches. And, you know, I went and did it for a day. And I'm a firm believer in God, but I just was not having fun shooting videos for the churches. So I was like, you know.
What kind of videos does the church need? Like
Just it was of the service, like a
Of the service?
multi-cam, almost like an
wow.
iMac for the
Oh,
wall,
damn.
and
Oh,
like
damn.
you know, it made sense. But
I know
it just-
churches have like huge media. Like I know that's
Yeah,
a
they
whole
got a lot of
lane though.
money.
Like they got money too.
Yeah.
So
those mega churches do
Yeah.
come flying down the whole
Yeah,
thing.
that's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
I love that.
I met an artist one year. I was probably 17 years old at Sasquatch Music Festival, and I was just taking pictures of his set. I had nothing to do with the guy, and I wound up in the media tent one day, and I was editing the photos that I had taken of him on stage, and somebody just like taps me on the shoulder while I was in the media tent, and I turn around, and it was the artist and his whole camp, and you know, he ended up being like, "Oh, send me all these photos," and I get his phone number. Fast forward 2-3 years, I'm now in college at University of Colorado. Bored as hell, he hits me up on a Saturday. He's like, "Hey man, are you doing something? Like, I need to shoot this Samsung ad at a frat house." So I'm like, "Sure, bro, I'll pull up." I go over there and I make like low key the coolest video out of nothing. It was the shittiest little frat house that I had ever seen, and he was really just like debuting his music, and it was ghetto gospel is what he called it, and it was like the word of God through just a form of music that hadn't been heard before. And you know, I did this cool video. His publicist hits me up from Atlantic Records. He's like, "Hey man, like you just made this in a day. Like, you want to come out and shoot CNN in New York next week and NBC?" And I ended up flying back and forth from like University of Colorado to New York and Chicago, and I had to ask all my professors like, "Hey, you know, like, can I skip this test and go to New York?" And they're like, "I mean, your grades are great. Like, yeah, just go do it, and then you can take the test online." And it just became such a thing of going back and forth so much that you know, the camp and the artists I was working with, eventually my professors were hitting me up like, "Hey, you got to enroll in online classes. Like, my class doesn't allow you to be, you have to be here. Like, you're killing it, but you have to be here. Otherwise, like, sign up for something else." So I'm like voicing this as I'm in the studio with the artist in his camp, and they're like, "Man, fuck school. Like, you don't need that shit." And I'm like, "All right, I don't need it." So I drop out, and it was kind of rough. Like, I moved home for I went on tour with this artist for about a year. I learned a lot. It kind of went from me being in a classroom with a lot of kids that were basically just starting out in the film world, and they were teaching you like, this is how to turn on your camera, this is your shutter speed and your ISO. I'm sitting there like, dude, we're paying for this shit? Like, it's crazy. So you know, I kind of went from being in a classroom of just like not learning much, it was just like prerequisite stuff, to being in a boardroom with like Craig and Julie Kalman, the CEOs of Atlantic Records, and like I would get to see, instead of like just old film shit on paper, I was in the room talking about Glenfiddich campaigns and how whiskey brands and like timelines of campaigns and deliverables, and you know, all stuff that the cameraman and your whole agency, whatever it is you're working through, if you're a VFX artist, like deliverables, different assets that you work with, and like vertical versions for TikToks, like it was all so new to me, and I just learned in the field a lot more so, I guess. But I kind of really went off track because you asked me about how I met MGK. I guess I'll just get to that.
I mean, this is all interesting. I think this all kind of ties in and leads there.
Yeah,
right?
no, I feel like you definitely don't. I mean, that's just crazy that you even like decided to leave school. But I definitely get what you're saying, because I was in school for a while as well. Or I actually transferred from community college to like state school. And then those classes were even worse. Like, they're showing me like YouTube videos, and I was like making tutorials at the time, and I'm commuting to this school,
and they're showing you tutorials.
They're
that other
showing me
people made.
tutorials of like shutter speed, and it's like a what do you call it? Like a graduate student also teaching me, and I'm just like, she doesn't even care. She doesn't have a job in the industry, and it's like they're showing me like videos on shutter speed that I could have just watched at home.
Yeah,
I'm like,
so the
why am
teacher
I
wasn't even really teaching you. He was using other stuff.
Yeah, and it was just bad. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like the amount of experience you get from actually doing, and like you're
right.
Yeah, that's, I mean, so were you just grinding all before that? Because your work must have been really good if you just were able to get that, like those type of opportunities so quickly.
I mean, I'm kind of a freak. Like, at the end of the day, I'm just a nerd, man, and I just really love my craft. But like, I can't eat a meal without watching a YouTube tutorial on something, whether it be like an editing effect or like in-camera stuff, or
every meal you eat, you're watching a tutorial.
Every meal, I'm like,
That's
I'm
crazy.
literally a nerd, bro. And People leave me alone though when I do that because they're like, oh, he's eating
in
and
his
he's
zone.
locked in.
Hell
But,
yeah.
He's locked in.
When I'm eating, I'm usually on Netflix. I'm like, it takes me a while to like choose something to watch before I can start eating my food. Do you do that through tutorials, or you just pick?
Yeah, I need like everything ready before I and the show needs to like start, and then I can start eating.
But you're like picking, like, are you like, do you have a project in mind where you're like, oh, I need to learn this specific thing?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on. Sometimes like I'm not working on projects, and I'm just like, I want to learn something new that if something is to arise down the road, then I'm like, oh, fucking, I just learned how to make this dude fly through a wall or whatever. Like we can, but I like learning stuff. Just like, even if I don't need it, it's just a better understanding of everything. And like I feel like what college was trying to teach me was to be like one specific thing. Like you want to be a DP, you're a fucking DP. You want to be a VFX dude, you're doing VFX the rest of your life. You want to be a director, you're a director. Like, why can't you do everything? Why can't you learn everything? Yeah. And like even learning instruments and like the camera world, like learning about the internals of an RE camera or a Red Cam, and like just understanding camera technicalities. Anybody could learn it. It's really just like if you're passionate about it and you care to learn. I guess it's a work ethic kind of thing. Yeah. But I was just interested in everything. Like, so editing, I edit all my own videos. I do a lot of VFX myself. I've met a lot of friends that have helped me through the music video space, documentary space, colorist, VFX, dudes, additional or assistant editors, other DPs that I've hired to work on my projects. Like, what I've come to find is like I used to kind of think I could do it all myself, and I was never like gatekeeping people. Like, I always loved working with other people, but I was kind of just like stuck in a world where other people wouldn't hit me up like, hey man, let's make a video, let's collaborate, or like I never had anybody to really reach out to. So it almost like forced me to have to learn to color, learn to do sound design, learn to mix audio, learn Pro Tools, like all this stuff that I really wasn't like, I need to learn this. But I'm just like, if I'm fucking doing everything myself, I might as well like learn all of it. So at this point in my life, I'm really happy that I've just like made those decisions. Like learning, I feel like the moment you get old is when you stop learning. And when you stop caring about music and like trends of music is really when you get old. And I never want to get old.
If you're a photographer or filmmaker, you should definitely check out CinePacks lens filters. We have lens filters for photographers and filmmakers that offer unique in-camera effects. We have soft filters to give your photos that nice cinematic glow, as well as in-camera effects filters that can really level up your shot. Use promo code LENS15 at checkout and you're going to get 15% off your lens filter order. Now back to the episode. So when did you finally link up with MGK? Because I've seen you recently, just in the last like 5-6 years, you've solely been working with him just on his tours, creating all his content, now directing his music videos. When did that relationship start?
Right. Well, I recently moved to LA. This was like 8 years ago. And, I was working a lot in the influencer space, kind of making content, as you will. And then I somehow scored a gig with Will Smith. So I was working with Will Smith and his oldest son for a year and a half. We worked on a Facebook watch show called Bucket List, where it was essentially like they wanted to do everything, like the list of everything you would want to do before you die. So they were jumping out of airplanes, and we were shooting, they would drift cars down at the Porsche facility. But I was mainly shooting videos with Trey Smith, Will's oldest son. And he would have like a new hobby every 3 months, which was like so cool. And I got to see and do a lot of different things with him. But it went from like 3 months. And he still is a pro video gamer, and he's great at video games. But I was shooting all this stuff to him, drifting Porsche cars on a racetrack down here in Culver City or wherever in Los Angeles. And he would be hanging out with Todd Gurley, the football player from the Rams, if I'm not mistaken. But I keep going off track, bro. I'm sorry.
You're good.
That's crazy. Did you ever get to like also do any of these crazy stunts or crazy things?
No,
like drift
I
cars
have not
and stuff?
jumped out of a plane ever. I would like.
But then but you had to film it though, right? Like
not that part. I did the car racing. Yeah. But no. So I was working with Will Smith and his oldest son Trey for about a year and a half, and the buddy that even connected me with that group, his name's Ishan, and he had a lot of cool jobs when I was younger, and I would work for him, and like it was like a work for hire kind of vibe. And he would just go out to all these events and meet people. And at the time he was I think he was valedictorian of his school, and he was young like I was, but he was working for Mark Cuban. Just a very, very smart kid. And he ended up going to an event one night and meeting MGK's managers, Ash and Andre. And he was like, hey, like, you know, if you guys ever need a cool video kit, we got I got this guy Sam Cahill, like he's awesome. And they're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, we'll hit him up. And the next day I got a text, and they were like, hey, do you want to come on tour with us in 2 weeks? Our guy just quit. And I'm like, shit, yeah, let's do it. And I'd never met MGK. I'd never met Colson, Slim, the band, anybody. So I flew to Cleveland about 2 weeks later, brought all my cameras and whatnot. And we go to a Motel 6 in Cleveland, and all the tour buses that are just parked outside. And I go to my room for about 30 minutes, and then Andre, his manager, calls me. He's like, hey, like, you should probably come to the bus and meet everybody. And so I go out there with him, and I walk on the bus first. I'm walking up, and everybody turns around and sees me, like some random dude walking on. They're like, yo, like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, and Dre comes in behind me. He's like, hey, man, like, it's cool. This is Sam. Like, he's going to be on the bus with y'all for the next 4 months. Like, you should probably get to know him. And so I sat down and kind of just gave everybody my, like, 30-second elevator pitch, and, you know, showed Colson a couple videos that I'd previously done. And he was like, you know, this is, like, really great stuff. But what he told me, he was like, you know, I just feel like I'm really a normal, regular person. Like, I feel boring. So, like, I don't know why you want to come film my life. Like, I really don't know why you're here. But, like, I guess I give you a week, you know, like, let's see what you can make in a week. And I guess we'll just see if, you know, it's meant to be. And I'm like, all right. It didn't really get me down. It almost, like, lit a fire under my ass to be like, oh, like, let's make some cool shit real quick. So, like, for the first couple shows of that tour that I did with him, I was going above and beyond, and like delivery time and flipping the photos around right after the concert. So
you're doing photo and video, right?
Photo and video, yes. Yeah. And I still do that, and it's
what's priority when it comes to like deliverables? What do you think is more important, and what do you try and deliver first?
Photos are always amazing, and like I love photography. It's just like, in my opinion, with a lot of the AI stuff nowadays, this doesn't go as much for concerts, but like it just made me fall out of love with photography a little bit, and be more inspired to make videos and like stories that actually tell a story. Like, sure, you can tell a story through one image. I'm a firm believer in that, but just with nowadays, it's such an easy thing to replicate, and you just hit generate, and it's gonna give you something that looks cool, and like it's cool, but you know, it just kind of like subtracted my care for that out of it, just because it's become such a saturated market, I feel like, in photography, and it's much easier than making a film, in my opinion. Don't hate me, but
it's a solid take. I'll
you know, because I am a photographer at
especially
heart.
like fans too. I feel like because like iPhones are so good now, and like you can literally just snap a photo like hella far away, and just like it's obviously not, you know what I mean? But I mean, there's a talent between show photography.
Yeah,
obviously.
But at the end of the day, like the asset that you want really matters. And like nowadays with the iPhone that you just said, a lot of concerts I'm just shooting on an iPhone vertically. Like I have 5 cameras hanging around my neck, Fuji, a long lens Canon R5 with the 70-200, a R5C with the 24-70. I'll have a VHS dangling from my neck, and like half the time he'll want me to get iPhone videos for either his Instagram story, or we make a TikTok, which we're not huge TikTok guys, but like you kind of just need to feed the beast, and we definitely feed the beast every day. So you have to just keep that going. And a lot of times, like,
what happened after that week, so we don't get too off track? So week, did you prove it to him that obviously?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I made him like 2 or 3 cool videos, like a whole show recap, and I did all this like 3D puppet tool stuff with photos that I took, and like made them into video animations. And he's just like, dude, like, what even made you do this? Like, this is sick. And like, so you know, we kind of kicked it off, and we all became friends within that week. You know, me, Rook, the band, Slim, Baze, everybody. It was just amazing. And now here we are, like 6.5 years later, I think.
But this started
like
like
family.
with the managers hiring you. Like MGK didn't even.
He had no idea who I was at all.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So you had
'Cause
to
I
go
feel
and
like,
convince them. That's crazy.
yeah, I feel like it's usually like the artist. Like what I've even just like what I've heard of like other people's stories is like the artist will see their work and they'll be like, oh hey, like let's get this guy, see if he can come on. You know, I feel like that's usually what happens, especially now with like TikTok and everything. They were like, oh, I want that person to come on
Yeah.
tour with me, but that's such like a backwards, interesting way.
And this was in, I think, just the beginning of 2019 or end of 2019 is when we met. But yeah, it was crazy, you know. And it was really, I find it very cool that way because I didn't know much about him. You know, I knew his song Wild Boy and I knew some of his old stuff when I was in high school. But, you know, growing up, I didn't know much about Coulson. So, like, when we met and just the way that we hit it off and became friends and just started making really cool stuff, it was just like really special to me, like how it was so real. It was so like, you know, and we're still just best homies and like that's my dude. But I just find it very cool that we had kind of like not a rough start, but it was like a hard start, you know. I could have just been like, oh fuck this, like I don't really care about making videos, and you know I would have been fired in a week, and I would have never been friends with all these people that are now like my family. So you know, I'm just really grateful everything happened the way it did.
That's crazy. Have you learned any like so I guess this was all tour stuff. At what point did you start doing like music videos for these guys and like
I did my first music video when I was still in college for an artist named Ryan Caraveo, my buddy from Seattle. Shout out to him. But he flew me back to Seattle, and this was when I was at University of Colorado in school. So I flew out to Seattle, did my first music video with him, and I really had no idea what I was doing. I think I barely even knew how to sync a song, like a clip to the song. So it was really just me learning on site, but he had seen my Instagram, and back then I was really more so a photographer, and I posted a lot of like PNW, Pacific Northwest nature scenery, and I was always hiking and going up on top of mountains, and that was my work, and it looked really cool, but it was all through photos. So I was kind of learning the video stuff through him. But yeah, my first music video was probably in 2016, 2017. And then I really started jumping into it when I moved to LA, and it became, I was getting hit up like off Instagram, what you were talking about, a lot of people like on run and gun stuff. So it was never like a really, really cool video that was like story driven, or it was kind of like, oh, you know, let's go find 5 cool locations and shoot a good looking visual. And I did that for about 2 years maybe. And, you know, I met Coulson, and on that first tour with him, I shot a music video called Bullets with Names with him and Young Thug. And that was, you know, still kind of in my early years, but I still love that video to death. I'll send it to you. But that was really a music video that we shot, like it was just a bunch of tour footage. It was almost like a Life in Pink, like a documentary, if you will, in a music video. And it was just all this wild shit of him and Young Thug and Waka Flocka and all these artists that would pull up on tour compressed into one music video. And I don't know, I guess my love for music videos kind of changed in the last 2 years. Like I was still doing like a lot of really run and gun videos, and I don't know what it is that clicked in my head in the last like 2 or 3 years, like almost since Life in Pink. It was kind of like, like I could, you know, we just made a feature documentary like without even knowing that we did it. Like it was the weirdest way that it could have came about, but it was so cool to me. And like almost just like, I don't mean to be rude, but a big fuck you to like all the old heads that were just like, this is how you have to do it. And we totally just like went against the grain and like came out with an amazing documentary, in my opinion. And but from that point on, like I really started caring about story. And like I think when I bought my first cinema camera, it was a Blackmagic 6K that I did a full rigged out build on. And that camera eventually got stolen off of a stage by a fake security guard.
Oh shit.
Whoa,
But,
fake security guard.
Crazy.
Did they catch him or no?
They caught him, but I never got my camera back.
Damn.
Or I didn't have
So
insurance.
how does someone like? How did they beat a fake security guard? Did they just have like
They
like
just-
like what?
The security at the venue we were at was just really bad, and he just pulled up wearing like a worker's jacket, a nice shirt with a collar, a name tag, and he looked the part. But we caught him backstage before the show. asking Kels for a picture. He's like, hey man, like as he's changing clothes in the bathroom, he's like, hey MGK, let me get a pic. And Slim's like, dude, can't you see he's like putting shorts on? Like, leave him alone. Aren't you supposed to be working? And the guy, Kels was nice enough to be like, yeah man, I'll take a pic. So he came out and got a selfie with the dude. Lo and behold, fucking 20 minutes later, the show starts, and that same guy stole my camera off the stage.
You saw him do
crazy.
it?
We got all the, it was like public record. I did a police investigation. We pulled all the security footage from the venue.
Wow.
So like 2 weeks later, I got a Google Drive from the police department. It was like 32 angles of this dude stealing my rig and just
Oh
like
my
running
God.
through the venue with it. And it was heartbreaking, but
Damn.
that camera was really like the first camera I bought that made me kind of care more about your frame and not so much like having the camera on a gimbal and like just trying to get a cool shot and a cool movement and a transition. I've always been a huge transition guy, and I love transitions, and they're massive in the filmmaking world, but I kind of have gravitated towards just like caring about what's in the frame and what's in picture. And like that first just like big bulky camera that I got my hands on really kind of just like made my brain think in a different way of just like running around with a gimbal all day. And I think that was like a real game changer for me. And I started caring more about creativity. I'm like, oh, now that I care more about what's in the frame, like what is in the frame, like let me write it down. And so like, you know, it's kind of just like a conglomerative effort of just trying to like advance my creativity. And I think, you know, really the camera you use is really a tool, and all, you know, a camera with a gimbal is a tool, and there's a purpose for that. And like I use that setup on tour all the time. It's R5s and gimbals and all that. But when it comes to making music videos, like I started caring more about the look and the lighting, the flow of the edit, you know, as we're shooting, just knowing how it's going to look in post. And I'm not the one to be like, oh, I'll fix it in post, because like I'm the one that has to edit this shit, and I know it's not going to be easy some of the time. So I'm like, no, like let's get this right. And then not worry about it in post. But
Yeah.
what was your question, I guess, from the beginning?
I think I was just asking. I think you asked the question. How do you? Yeah.
I'm curious, like, so do you also, you're still editing all the stuff that you do, like
Yep.
the music videos, even though I mean, I think the one that you shot here, you guys had like a you had like a producer, you guys had a full crew and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're still doing all the posts yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, being that majority of my work is with MGK, and you know, I'm kind of handling all of his music videos. At the end of the day, it really comes down to me and him just having a conversation. And he's like, hey man, like I want to shoot a music video for Lonely Road. And I knew that was a huge song for him, and I was kind of scared and happy that he was asking me, because I knew it was such a big song, and I knew it was such a big task for me to take on to like really execute, and it really worried me about failing. And I didn't want to fail him on this one, because he took 2 years to even get the song right. Like,
That's great. Can we pull up the video just in the background, the Lonely Road video? But yeah, so this one was that's not it. That's it.
Yeah, this guy.
With Jelly Roll, right?
yeah. Shout out to Bubba.
So this was a 2-year process for him to like release the song, or
Just to do the song, yeah. The song originated. We were on a studio trip. It was me, Kels, Slim, Bays, a couple of our producer friends, Charlie Handsome, Nick Long, Sean. We all go out to Big Sur. It was a producer that did all the early Kanye stuff. His name's Jeff Basker. He owns this amazing studio that's out in the middle of nowhere in Big Sur, like right by the beach. It's got its own private beach, and we were there for 3 days. But we went down to the beach on like the 3rd day after, you know, he's just locked in making music every day. And we were riding back up in this truck, in the bed of a pickup truck in Bays. My bearded friend started singing Country Roads by John Denver. So we're all like in the bed of this truck, just like, country roads, take me home. And Kel's like, you know, like that would be a cool flip. Like we should, like, let's make a emo sad version of Country Road by John Denver. And so we got back to the studio, and he started doing a guitar riff, and, you know, they really started the song. But from that was 2 years ago. And this song probably came out, 2 months ago? So it went through probably like 47 different studio sessions, all sorts of different mixing sessions. And he's such a perfectionist, which is like such an amazing thing to see, because a lot of people don't care about their craft. And like he really fucking cares about his craft. And so he redid the guitars on the song like 50 times. It was 50 different guitar licks. And it's like, to me, that is like, when you're coming up with those guitar licks, like that's something you really create it out of nothing. And like Nick Long and Kells himself and Bays, they're all so talented with guitar that they were just like bopping around until they went to Travis Barker's studio, and Papa Trav kind of reined everybody in, and they started coming together with a cohesive sound. But once it was at the end of everything, he was like, Sam, like, I want you to do the Lonely Road video. And I was terrified, and I'm like, oh shit, like this is crazy. And I was talking with Vincenza over at Interscope. Shout out to Vincenza. But I needed a good producer on this video. And I think it goes back to like, you can't make great work by yourself. You can and you can't. If you want to make something really great, you need a team. You need to trust in your team. And like on this video, I really wanted to get a good team together. So Vincenza hooked me up with Angel, who's an amazing producer. And he helped me, go over the lines and all of the budget. And it was a pretty big budget. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the number, but it was a pretty big budget. And that's really what scared me, is when I saw all those dollars that were really on my head, and I'm like, yo,
that's the
what
biggest,
if I fuck this up?
Was this the
like,
biggest budget that you've worked on?
Aside from Life in Pink, yeah. Like for a music video, definitely the biggest budget film I've worked on. Yeah, so I really wanted to get a perfect team together, and Vincenza hooked me up with a solid producer. His name's Angel, and he helped me go over all the lines and, really calculating the budget for this one. And I had to hit up my guy. His name's Mason Prendergast. He is a living legend if you haven't heard of him, but he's a bigger camera nerd than me. So like when I went to I just bought a red Raptor and rigged that out in January, but I hit him up and I'm like, Mason, like, should I buy a red Komodo? And he's like, Komodo? He's like, no, buy my Raptor. Like, I'll give you all this shit with it. And so he hooked me up, but he shoots a lot of really cool like Aston Martin Aston Martin specs and car commercials. He's doing like all the real cool shit with camera arm cars, with Aston Martin, Toyota. I think he's done Mini Cooper and also a Cadillac, but he's a phenomenal DP. And I was like, I need Mason for this one. Like, I cannot shoot this video by myself. So I hit up Mason, and thank God he was available. His AC Giuseppe was available. My steady op was Ryan. My steady op was the bro Ryan. I don't know his last name, so but
where did you guys shoot it at? Is it in LA or no?
Yeah, we shot the video in Big Bear, California, so it's like 2.5 hours away. But we wanted something that wasn't LA.
Yeah.
It would have been so much easier to shoot it here or even go to the Disney lot, but it becomes such a union thing. And we could have done it with that budget, but we just wanted it to be, once we made it out to Big Bear, we had a location scout mob out there and send me pictures. And I'm like, this almost looks like the movie A Place Beyond the Pines, which is really like kind of the inspiration of this music video. But it was the whole idea. Like after Kells asked me to do the music video, it was me, him, and Megan at his house, and we just wanted to come up with a cool story. And we all love the movie Place Beyond the Pines, and we kind of just like made our own version essentially. And we were just sitting there and going through like the timeline of the song, different timestamps and like what would come where. And it was just a cool story. And like Jelly Roll. He's just such an amazing guy, and he's like provided so much insight to all of us in the MGK camp on just like life. He's just like so knowledgeable about everything. But we wanted something that would like make him look very cool, and we wanted the video to be like a tearjerker in a way and like emotional. We wanted it to make people feel something, And I think we definitely achieved that, and we went over points of like. Coulson and Megan's part in the music video is she's pregnant, and they're together, and they're kind of going through a financial hardship, and he works at an auto body shop with Jelly Roll, where they're pretty much like losing money on all the parts they have to buy for these cars. So they're in there working their ass off, and he's not making money, which ends up leading him to the point where he has to rob the bank and steal money for his family. In the meantime, you learn about Jelly and Bunny's story in the video. They were dealing with infertility, and I just think that's another topic that like it's not really addressed in all the time, and it's a really hard thing to deal with. And I think just you know, having those two problems and just like all of them killed their role so well that it really made you feel what we were trying to get the viewer to feel. And I just thought it was so cool to really make something that kind of felt nostalgic, like the Place Beyond the Pines movie, and just really tear at people's emotions, I guess. Like,
yeah. Hey, real quick, didn't know if you knew this, but CinePacks actually has 3 studio locations in Los Angeles. If you're a filmmaker, photographer, and you're looking for a studio space, look no further, CinePacks is here. We have one location in South LA that has multiple music video sets, has a small LED wall. We have an entire vintage house in East Hollywood. We have a large LED wall studio in North Hollywood as well, with tons of standing sets. You can check out the studios at cinepackstudios.com or check us out on Instagram at CinePacks Studios. Enjoy the rest of the episode. What was it? I mean, how big of a contrast was this, like from just filming your typical run and gun videos? Like, have you ever done anything this big of a scale besides the Hulu documentary, or was this like the first time where you're just like, this is kind of insane, especially for something where it's like a lot different than a documentary, right? Where it's like interviews. This is like strictly like pretty much like you have like control over like every image in the video.
Yeah. I was so terrified to really start on this video, but I was like, you know, if I don't start now, it's just going to get uglier for me. And I just really submerged myself into the project, and I'm like, you know, like, this is what my month is looking like. Like, my month is Lonely Road. I'm like, fuck everything else. Like, miss me with that. Lonely Road it is. So, I just really locked in, and, you know, I'd never spent so much time on pre-production on anything leading up to Lonely Road. Like, even the documentary I told you about, it was so on the fly, and that was really my first feature documentary, and I just kind of learned stuff as I went, which was amazing. But this one, I was like, you know, I really got to take my time, and like, we got to get this story right, because we're working with so much money, and we have all these locations and a lot of people that we have to feed and pay if we go overtime. So I was really monitoring that, and my AD on the set, Mark, really helped me kind of rein everybody in on time. But I was so grateful, and I feel like God was really working through us on this music video, because it was a 4-day shoot. 3 days we spent in Big Bear, and it was like we would start at 8 in the morning, set everything up. We'd go till midnight. We never went overtime, so we saved money, and everybody, you know, was eating. Everybody was fed. It was all good. But no, it was crazy, because every day we needed it to be sunny, it was sunny. And then the first or the day that Jelly Roll comes, we were shooting the funeral scene first. And as soon as Jelly comes and we're about ready to, you know, get up the first shot, it starts pouring down rain. And my location scout that lives in Big Bear was like, it hasn't rained here in 4 months. Like, this is crazy. Like, you know, and she was over here trying to gas it up, like, oh, this rain is so great for the funeral scene. And, you know, everybody else is like, it was really pouring. So they were like, oh, get me out of here. Everybody's hiding under the little tarp that we had. And, you know, I'm like, this actually is great. I'm like, everybody just get out in the rain real quick. We'll run like 2 shots. And like, we couldn't ask for a better time to shoot this. Like, this is perfect with the rain. And as soon as we got the shots and we started packing stuff out of there, the rain stopped. We get to the next location where we needed it to be sunny again for him to, I think he was robbing the bank in the daytime. So we had to film him riding there in the sunlight. And it would have just looked so weird if we did that same rainy day. As soon as we left the graveyard, just sun came out. We're all just like, this couldn't have worked out any better, you know?
Yeah.
And then the 4th day of shooting the music video was back in LA, where we got a studio set. It was a real bank, but it was just, you know, not in use anymore. So really all we had to deal with was like blurring out the FCID stuff that's on the, you know, the register of the bank, and the bank name itself. But it was pretty crazy. Like that last day, we were all so beat from.
Did you edit this project?
Yeah, I edited the whole video.
Crazy.
It sounds like this project. It sounds like everything went pretty smoothly though, for the most part, right? Like
it did, and I was so obsessed with this video. Like, as we shot it, every shot, like, everybody was so happy with every shot that, you know, when they came to watch playback, and I just felt so good. I'm like, okay, this is going the way I want it to. And in the end, after we shot the last scene, it was him and Megan. He was in jail, and we had to hire a baby, like she had the kid, you know, and So we have to meet the baby, and it was just the sweetest little baby, and they're over there like hanging out with I believe it was a girl. I forget her name. I'm sorry, but cute little girl, and they were hanging out with her for a while, and then we bring her into the little jail set, and Megan comes in, and it was really her showing him his child for the first time since he had went away for robbing the bank for his family. Yeah. But after that shoot, that was the last shot of the whole video, and I just go home and I just edited the entire video in probably 7 hours that same night. Like I stayed up. It was more than 7 hours because I was up till 5, 6 in the morning the next day. Damn. And I sent him a bounce export of the whole video at like 5 a.m. the next day, and he just texted me back. He was like, "What is wrong with you?" Like, I don't know, bro. I was just addicted. Like, I had to get it done. And,
yeah, especially like, when it's fresh in your brain like that, though. It's kind of like, especially if you have everything planned out to a T like that. I feel like you almost just want to see how it cuts together. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously we had some revisions on the video, but it really stuck to what my first edit was, which was crazy. And I had that whole shot list of timestamps that we were supposed to put the shots in. And when I started editing a video, I was like, I'm too beat to even do this right now. Like, I am absolutely cooked, but let me just take a shot. And I get like 2 minutes into the video, and I'm like, oh, I should probably go look at my my script and see if I'm like on right now. And I'm looking at the time codes and what I had already edited, and everything was perfectly on timestamp. It was like my brain had just like known it in the background, and it just did it. It was the weirdest thing ever, but like I forget who was sitting next to me, and I'm like, bro, there's no way, like 15 to 20, like this is supposed to happen, and it's right there. And like it was all through the whole video. So the edit, it did change, but from that first point that I started, it kind of stayed around the same vibe.
And that's because you said it was like a month-long process, like the whole video, and then you had like, how much time did you have up in the pre-production like stage of it?
Pre-production, I probably took about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Okay. I did a whole mood board of everything. I did a shot list, and then I broke the shot list down into even lenses that we were going to be using per like each shot for close-ups and drawing emotion and wide shots, moving stuff on a steady. It was probably 2 weeks of pre-production, and I'm so happy we did that.
Would you do another music video like that again, or is it too much?
Most definitely. I fell in love with it as soon as I finished it, and I was like, wow, I can. It was so different than doing a documentary and kind of just like filming real life moments. Like you really have to take hold as a director, and like I'm a quiet guy. Like I'm very shy typically, and like I don't like to raise my voice. So thank God I always have the little headset calm, because I talk to my team, but I'm not the one that's like, do this, like, yo, I'm in the headset, like almost whispering, but I know you hear me, so everyone knows what to do. And it's like, I like running more of a peaceful set where everybody like, it's not loose whatsoever, and I hate a loose set, and if you're ever loose, I will be on your ass, but I'm the nicest person about it. But I just like to like let people be themselves, and like my sets, like I have just a lot of creative, talented friends that I love to be around, and they just help bring that energy, as opposed to me like hiring out a ton of union workers and people that would kill it. But energy is a huge thing on set, and I don't think a lot of people really care about that when they pull up. And like it's hard to get around our group of people that's like so positive and happy and funny that like, I don't know, it's always just a great time. So I want to keep it that way.
Were there any like big challenges on this production that like
on the road? Yes. I guess the term more money, more problems definitely sits, because it was a lot of money being thrown around, and I'm kind of like, it's so cutthroat, and my head's on the chopping block every day, and the label's calling me like, oh, what is this for $30,000 and what is this for $45K, and I'm like, so I'm asking my whole team, and thank God for Angel. He really helped me dial everything in, and I think that's like, once you really get like it was a $250,000 set roughly, so it was a lot of money just going into all these different people, and we had to trim stuff down. And I'm looking at 3 gaffers, and we have to recreate daylight at nighttime, you know, and then I have one gaffer dude that's supposed to like set up 3 different daylight sources, and we have one grip. I'm just like, because we had to cut everybody else because of cost. So I'm like, I gaff myself, so I'm over there like as I'm directing through the little headset, I'm helping him set up combo stands and run over these Aperture P600C panels and all this shit. We're just setting up like as fast as we can, and it all worked out great. And it kind of goes back to my comment about like learn everything. Like it's great to learn everything,
which is crazy because like I feel like just from like seeing your early stuff, like I feel like we, like you were saying, like we got in touch around like 2019. Like I feel like I sent you over a bunch of CinePacks and like you did all these crazy MGK edits with them, like the tour visuals. But I feel like not many have made the transition from like photographer, videographer, like these tour videos to like doing like that legit of music videos with like that much pre-production. You know, I feel like that's, I don't know. I feel like it's not that common.
It is. It's not common, but like thank God for Coulson, because like without him choosing for me to do that video, like it could have went any other way, and they really could have got any other director to work on that project. But I just think me and him are on just like such a great wavelength, and it's like not in a weird way, but I almost just like know what he's thinking when I look at him, and it's a cool thing. And I just feel like we shared this telepathic thing of like, you know, I think you're ready to take this on, and like this would be a good one. Like I was around for the whole making of the song, and I knew the vibe he wanted. I knew the look that he wanted to go for, and I'm just so happy it worked out the way it did. But you know, without him really saying like I want Sam to do this video, I probably would have been X'd out of the situation. So thank you, Coulson.
For sure. What are some things about MGK that people may not know? Because, you know, you said he's such a polarizing figure. Some people love him, some people hate him. What are some things that people may not know about him?
So much, dude. And it was funny because we were at the People's Choice Awards like 2 weeks ago, and it was Baze, Slim, and Kels and Justin. They were all getting interviewed on the red carpet, and an interviewer lady asked Baze the same thing, like, what do we not know about MGK? And he's like, am I allowed to even say any of this shit? And like, he's like, he's good at riding motorcycles, but he's really good at like everything, dude. Like talk about a man that's talented in like every way possible. Like he's crazy on a motorcycle. He be popping wheelies and doing shit he probably shouldn't, but he does it and he's okay. He likes to carve wood. He started buying like wood carving sets and like whittling boats and oars, and like he takes his time. He'll stain the wood, and it's like really well done. Like it's pretty impressive. But he has a lot of just, I hate using this word, but normal hobbies. Like, you know, he's just like every other one of us, you know, and he just wants to have fun. He wants to be happy, and like, you know, he's always on stage and stuff. So I feel like he just battles to, or tries to, you know, have as much fun as he can, and like, you know, just be around friends and just have a good time and have it be normal. Like everything's always on camera, and it doesn't essentially need to be. And, you know, I'm his videographer. I shoot all of his stuff, and I kind of like look out for him in that sense. But I could definitely see, like, if you know, put me in his shoes, like, would I want my entire life on camera? Probably not. So like, there are times where, you know, you just gotta like learn how to put the camera down and be a person and like be a friend and ask your homie how he's doing. Like, yo, like, how are you for real? Like, not just like yo, what's up, dog? Like, how you doing? Like, and then look off into the distance. Like, I like to just see how my friends are doing, you know, check up on them, and he does the same for me. But we're homies at the end of the day, so yeah.
So what's next for you? Like, are you guys got other music videos coming up, or are you working on anything else?
Yeah, this video's not out yet, but we shot it at the CinePacks studio, right where we're sitting right now. I mean, I'm looking at it right here. It's the little Tokyo set. But we just did a video for his song called El Pistolero off of the Hotel Diablo Reloaded album. And it's just a really cool video to me because, like, and him, like, we didn't really need to do it, but we just wanted to give something to the fans and, like, feed them with something, because in the song that we did, El Pistolero, it's this crazy fast rap song where he's just rapping like a real machine gun for real. And we took a totally different approach to it. Like, you would think like Trapped Out or like guns blazing, like, I don't know, crazy cars doing donuts, whatever a rap video typically is. Instead, we're like, you know, let's do some like Kill Bill vibe, like anime kind of stuff. And that was kind of our inspiration. We just like wanted to do a ninja fight. Like he's like, fucking, he found this guy, he found Shaquan on Instagram. He's from Atlanta. We ended up flying him out to LA to shoot the music video, but he's like this crazy stunt ninja dude, and he'll post on his Instagram doing double backflip 360s with a sword in his hand and sticking the landing like he's Sean Johnson out the Olympics. I'm like, bro, we need this motherfucker. Like, bring him in. So like that was Kels' opponent in the music video that he had to fight in a sword battle, and we shot half of the video in his backyard. Literally in his backyard. I got a stunt rigging team over there, and a few of the shots you'll see him like kind of floating there, and the dude comes and slashes at him with a sword, and he like jumps sky high and comes down. We had him on a rigging system for about 2 hours, and he's just like jumping around. We had the Nick Herms was my fight director, my action coordinator, if you will, but he was amazing. He was the one rigging, doing all the stunt rigging for me. But when it came to the actual fight, like Kels and Shaquan had to, kind of choreograph a fight that they had to redo over and over and over again as I'm switching lenses and switching angles, putting on a tripod, shoulder rig, whatever. They had to do it time and time again, and like they were sweating their ass off. I think the day that we shot in his backyard, it was like 106 degrees.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It was rough, but he was on a time crunch because he had to go to a podcast later that day. So we're just like stuffing everything that we can into that shoot day. We come over here to the CinePacks studio, and that's where we did the whole Little Tokyo scene right here.
We got MGK. Insert the clip of MGK with the nunchucks.
Yeah, I got a clip of him in the
Oh
nunchucks.
my God, that was crazy. I think I was up on a ladder right here. I had the camera. We were shooting on a Red Raptor with DZO lenses. I had the camera on a hi-hat, but I just climbed up a ladder, and I was standing up there, just holding it still. And then he whipped himself in the balls with the nunchucks, super hard too. And I'm like, he almost falls over to the ground, and I'm standing up on top of the ladder, like I was dying laughing. I'm sorry, bro, but like I almost fell off the ladder with the camera. Like that would have been bad news.
Yeah, it would have been bad.
No, we got our buddy Kenji also. We were kind of looking for another opponent for him to face in the video, and we're just like, do we have any like ninja friends? And we're like, oh, Kenji, who's our buddy Jaden's guitar player. He's a black belt too. We're like, oh, perfect, dude. Like, let's get Kenji. So I hit him up, and he's like, oh yeah, dude, like for sure, I'm down. And we didn't really go over anything with Kenji. This was all like such a sporadic video that kind of just came about. I just had a mood board. I don't think I really even had a shot list. It was just like a mood board, and we went from that. But Kenji pulls up, and same thing. We kind of just coordinate a fight scene, choreograph a fight scene, and he was really talented. Like, he was going crazy on the nunchucks. Like, we almost didn't really need to tell him what to do. Just like his enter point and where he ends up, and he killed it. But no, it was cool. I think I gaffed that whole video in here too, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't have a gaffer. I own a lot of aperture lights, and I just brought them with me to gaff it myself. But ask me something about the studio real quick, just so I could gas it up real quick.
What do you got?
I don't know.
What was your experience like shooting on our tiny Tokyo set?
It was great, and you have so much space here that I was like, wow, okay, we can. I think we had a motorcycle that we brought into the shot too, or we had two Harley Davidsons, and then we wanted to turn them on. In a lot of studios, you can't like keep something running that has fumes because you'll die. But we did it for you guys. Let us do it here for a little bit.
You guys had like a motorized thing too, right? Like a spinning turntable.
Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot. Jeez.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, so I got it was like a motorized turntable, and we put it on a Dana dolly. We didn't do the Dana dolly version, but Colson's pretty much spinning 360 through the whole Little Tokyo set, and we kind of did the Matrix effect where they shoot bullets and the bullets like stop in a force field right behind him. I really love that look, and it was so cool, but it's spinning through your guys' whole set, and you see this ramen spot, the audio video duplication zone over there. Like, it's really what we needed for the ninja battle. Like, his backyard, it had a couple Buddha statues and stuff that's like in line with ninja stuff. But you know, the little Tokyo set helped us so much because it was like we didn't have to set any of it up. You had all these chairs here. I brought people to fill the chairs and like all the gunmen that run in and stuff. But it was also set up, and the lighting here. But just having that, you know, versatility in the location, and you know, your site rep. You guys weren't here, I don't think, at the time, but your site rep was so cool.
Yeah,
like, he helped us with a lot. So.
Yeah, we try and train our site reps to be helpful and be able to, you know, help.
I think
utilize.
I think
the
it was
space.
David that day. Shout out David.
It was David. Yeah.
David.
Yeah.
Yep. Sick. But yeah, anything else you want to plug coming up, or that you got coming up, or we'll link all your stuff down below anywhere you want people to go.
What do I have coming up? I mean, Lonely Road just won 2 People's Choice Awards.
Yeah,
as well,
I forgot to mention that in the intro, but yeah, that's crazy.
Or it won 1 People's Choice Award, and then our the other song, Son to Me, won a People's Choice. But
Sick.
That was a really cool feat that we took, you know, and it was the song, because we were up for Video of the Year for the People's Choice, and then the song was up for Best Crossover Song of 2024, and it didn't win Best Video of the Year. Marshmello and Kane Brown, I believe, actually beat us. But the song won Best Crossover Song, which, you know, in my eyes, for him even, it's such a bigger achievement, and like the music really speaks, and I'm just happy the video could, you know, contribute to giving a visual to the fans. So
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Sick. And then I guess one last thing I'd say is, what's some advice you'd have for anyone maybe who wants to go on tour with an artist, you know, because I feel like that's a lot of lane kids want to get into, is like they see their favorite artist, they're like, I want to create content for them on tour, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
What's some advice you'd have for someone who just really came up in that type of way?
Excuse me. It's a great question though. My advice for anyone trying to tour with an artist would be, you know, have a great work ethic, because at the end of the day, it's really up to you. You really choose how hard you want to push yourself, and once you get on tour and you're on that tour bus and you have your own bunk, there are so many things that are just expected of you, and you can't really rely on your friends. Even like within our camp, I'll ask a basic question of like, oh, what time is sound check? And it's always, motherfucker, look at the fucking day sheet. Like sometimes there's no help. So like you really just got to take it on yourself. And but I'm a normal dude from Everett, Washington, and I kind of got put into this place where we're around so much A-list talent all the time, and rock stars and rappers, and you know, it really puts you in a place where it's also up to you to control your ego. You can either get a crazy ego and like let that take you away and think you're too cool, and like, you know, that's what I never want to become. I'm like, I always want to learn, and like I never want to be the elephant in the room, and I'm always with so many elephants in the room that like really just listening, you learn a lot. So like I like to listen. Once you're on tour, it's the same show. It's not the same show, but it's the same show every night 47 times in a row. And after show 5, you're like, what am I going to do different? Like, am I going to shoot these same photos from the pit every day? Am I going to go to front of house and shoot the same picture and the same video of all the explosions every day? Like, no. So I really started like focusing on key points, and like even with his outfit, like style and wardrobe is so important to focus on, and hair. But hair is one of the biggest things in the film world. Like I would say your picture matters the most, your hair. But it's great to capture those big explosion moments. But like with him, he doesn't love the pyro stuff. He's like, I've seen it time and time again. Like every big band has pyro and fire flying around. Like, what's cool about me? Like, what makes me cool behind the fire? What makes me cool behind all the extra stuff? And I really like those moments where he gets really emotional with the crowd on stage, and just really shooting close-up stuff of his eye, and like he'll cry sometimes on stage, and like just getting that tear rolling down your face is like, it's kind of hard to get that close sometimes, but like if you can get there, and if you push yourself to make it there, regardless of this security guard over here ripping on my neck, like I'm just trying to get the coolest picture possible, you know. And I think a lot of times a lot of people focus on the production a little bit too much, on the big explosions, on what's really pretty, and that kind of just distracts from, you know, what's really happening with the person on stage. And I think really focusing on like the detail and the key moments of that person's character development on stage is like what has helped me accelerate my looks on with concert footage.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Hell yeah.
This is crazy.
I know, maybe we'll do a video on this LED wall next time.
Dude, let's do it.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. Fire.
Sick.